Hey guys, the final book support group is back for another round. Hey guys, if you're new here, welcome to the Book Path. I'm Nicole. If this isn't your first rodeo, thanks for sticking around. So Final Book Support Group is back with another round. For those of you who don't know, Final Book Support Group is basically a book group or readathon that happens, I think it's now every other month, that really kind of gets us together to tackle all those books in the series that you just haven't got to yet, to finish off some of those series that you started and you just never seem to get around to finishing. It's hosted by Steph over at Steph Loves. I'll go ahead and leave a link to her announcement video down below if you want to check it out. This go around, I think it's 13 if you will, it's going to be a week-long readathon going from July 22nd through the 28th. This is basically a Monday through a Sunday week-long readathon. Sometimes it will be a weekend. This time we're going for a full week, and she is back with creating another bingo board. Now Steph has said that you don't have to do the bingo board. The real goal is just to kind of keep going on with the series that you're trying to complete. However, for those of us that love a little bit more challenge, she creates these wonderful little bingo boards for us to tackle. This time no different, so I will go ahead and post that up on one of these sides here, and we'll go ahead and get started because I am going to try to tackle the bingo board. I am going to use some of the books that not only have I been trying to get to, but that may still be in my TBR for the month from trying to tackle the Every Romantasy challenge that is hosted by Cass over at Covers with Cassidy. I'll leave a link down below to my TBR video for that, as well as Cass's announcement video for that. If you're interested in basically doing a readathon that is everything romantasy, I'm doing it all in 1 month. It does not have to be done all in 1 month. So all the details will be down below for you guys to check all that out in a separate video, but this one is all Final Book Support Group. So let's go ahead and get started with what's on our TBR. So first up is to pick a book that is a special edition. Now you can either own the special edition for this book, or you just be aware that there is a special edition of this book out there. And for this book, I am picking up Blood Mercy by Vella Roth. This is kind of my pick for the Friends to Lovers category in the Romantasy Challenge. This was also something that was, I believe, a friend recommendation because there are a lot of other booktubers out there that are recommending this book and this series. And of course, it is a Friends to Lovers, Fae world, fantasy romance. I don't know too much about it. I know there's kind of like wars going on, and I think you have a human falling in love with kind of like a vampire, like Fae, or just a vampire. But lots and lots of good praise for it. So I'm going to be choosing that one because I know that there is a special edition being sold on the author's website that is very beautiful, but sadly, with all other books, I will not be able to be getting anytime soon. But it is out there, so if you are a fan of the book and you've seen it, or you like collecting special editions, go check out Vella Roth's website because she does have some special editions of her works out there for purchase. Next up is one of the kind of freebie squares, and this is a self-care prompt. This is just doing something to take care of yourself. It can be anything from taking a nap, getting, a nice meal somewhere fancy, getting a nice little treat for yourself, buying another book if that's your kind of shopping therapy, if you will. I usually do like a face mask and just like chill by myself and decompress and read. So I will probably do something like that again. Next up, we have the TBR Vet. This is something that has been on your TBR multiple times, or it has been sitting on your bookshelf and you've had to get to it for a while. And for that, I am going to choose The War of Two Queens by Jennifer L. Armentrout. You guys, if you've been watching my show for a while, I am loving the Blood and Ash series. It has been one of my favorites on my radar. I just haven't read all of the books because, TBRs are long. But this was, I think it's book 4. Yes, book 4 in the series. I am trying to pace myself a little bit just because I don't like it when I read a book and then I have to wait a year for the next book to come out because by then I'm kind of forgetting everything. So I know that I have this one. I know there's another book after this, and then there's a new one coming out. So I feel like it is now time to tackle this one. This is the story that continues with Poppy and Cass. I don't want to give too much away, but you basically have a godlike world, fantasy world, where there are gods who are somewhat vampire-like, and then you have these lords who are creating these kind of creatures that are almost like zombie vampires in a world with humans. There is drought, there's famine. It's a very dark world feeling, but you have Poppy, who has been raised to be kind of like this lady, because this renowned savior sort, because she has survived a craven, or these like zombie vampire attack. And she is supposed to be part of the ceremony for coming of age. She has been kind of the Vestal Virgin, if you will, and she gets assigned to her a new bodyguard, who is Hawk, who is handsome and gorgeous and smart, and he is like the first one in Poppy's life to kind of see her for her, and just not as everything, not as all as it seems. There is twists and turns on this road. I have been loving Poppy, Hawk, and Cass' relationship. If you've read this series, you know where I'm going with that, because I don't want to give anything away. But it has been a very, very well done series. I mean, I've told people, even without the spice, because yes, these books do have some spice, even without the spice, they are still phenomenal stories, because the world building in this is just absolutely great. And the heroine, Poppy, is just fantastic in everything that like a strong kind of, dare I say it, femme fatale type character is. But this is their story continuing in book 4. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, because this has been sitting on my shelf for almost a year, I think, at least. So definitely time to get to this one. So next up is kind of another freebie square. It's to participate in one of these sprints that will be going on. Steph usually hosts, at least 2 or 3 of these sprints going on during the readathon. And all you got to do is just kind of check in, participate. And I tend to go ahead and do that anyway, just because I like kind of the time clock that's put on there, and it helps me to work on actually getting my reading done rather than getting sidetracked with, household chores. If you hear noises in the background, I am filming this later in the afternoon, and the kids are downstairs with the hubby, and all energy is at this level right now. So if you hear them, that's them running around and screaming and playing. So know that all is good in our house over here. But just in case you hear these sounds and you're like, what's going on? That is what's going on. If you watch my videos, you know I have to say this sometimes, because kids are kids, and you're gonna hear them in the background, and that's just what it is. So next up, we have a final book. This one is, if you can get to it, absolutely amazing, because it means you're that much closer to finishing a series. And for this, I am doing The House of Light and Ether by Leah Stone. This is book 3 in this series. I believe it's the final book in the series, to my knowledge, because I have looked it up on Goodreads. This is all that's listed. This is kind of a YA fantasy about a young girl named Fallon, who exists kind of in the really bottom tier of the social structure of this world. You have kind of the lords and ladies of the world that all come from magical families and all have magical powers. You have people who are born of these families but don't have magical powers, and they kind of come in next. And then you have those who really kind of live in squalor, that are without any type of magic whatsoever, and they're so far removed from these families that, And so Fallon is kind of growing up in this world, and she has this kind of curse upon her, if you will, where she cannot be touched by another living person, because it gives her excruciating pain. And she comes across one of the princes unknowingly, and he is kind of a healer, and he comes to help because her father is basically dying of this illness. And the prince, the healer, he comes and he basically saves her father, and in doing so, he touches her, and she feels no pain. He's the only person to be able to do that. And so you kind of find out she's into this world of who she really is, because you find out her father is actually her foster father. And so you learn who her real family is and how this kind of curse has come upon her, and her relationship with this prince and his brother and this magical school. And it is actually very well done. And honestly, this guy right here, her crow or raven kind of familiar, is so great in the series. His personality is just, he's kind of like this little diva in a bird form. And he's also her little sidekick, where he wants to be kind of her protector. So he'll kind of like threaten all the people that like hurt her or say something that offend her. And just, he does it in these very funny little ways, because he is of course a bird. But it's just been a very well done kind of storyline. And I just feel for Fallon. And in the second book, she was told something kind of about her fate, and I wasn't the hugest fan of it. So I am hoping in book 3 she is able to find a way around her fate and get her happy ending. So I will be reading this as my final book pick. Next up is to read either a graphic novel, a novella, or a manga. I am going with another manga again this time, and I am going to botch this name, so forgive me, but I am choosing Himoto Umara-chan Volume 2. This, I think I read the first volume for the last round, and this basically follows a teenage high school girl in Japan who is kind of, she's revered as the most beautiful student, the smartest student. Like, she's the girl that every guy wants to date, every girl wants to be, until she gets home where she lives with her older brother, and she kind of just turns into this kind of gamer otaku self. She's obsessed with anime and video games and junk food, and she's like lazy to a fold. And it's just kind of the antics and things that she gets into, and just the stress she causes her older brother when nobody else is looking. And I think at volume 1 at the end, somebody from her class may or may not have discovered her true nature, if you will. So it's just good and lighthearted and fun, and it's a quick read because it's a manga, and so it should be a fun one to get again into the series. I have seen the anime and I loved it, and the manga is shaping up to just be just as lovable. So we will be doing that one. So next up is our continuation station prompt. This is basically to just continue a series. This is not the first book or the last book in the series, it's somewhere in between. And so for that, we are choosing Beautiful Vengeance by Katie Roberts. This is the next book in the O'Malley kind of Boston Mafia romance series. I am a big fan of this series. The series has shown up on my mid-year freakout tag as one of the best series that I've been reading this year. This one is basically for Sloane, which is one of the younger sisters in the O'Malley family. She's kind of just been following the rules, very quiet, very introverted, kind of into herself, and just has always wanted to escape the family drama, the family rules. She's wanted to run away. I think throughout the series, one of her brothers has said, if you want to get out, let me know and I will get you out. So this is going to be her romance story, and I'll basically just read it. It says, Sloane O'Malley just left her entire world behind, her family, her wealth, and even her real name. For the first time in her life, she's free. She can live a life she's always wanted, a life without fear of repercussions from her mafia family, but there's nothing safe about her intensely sexy next-door neighbor. Jude McNamara has no room for innocence in his life, only revenge. Still, he never been able to walk away from the forbidden, and Sloane, who is every inch of pure, mouth-watering temptation, has forbidden written all over her. Only after it's way too late does he discover the real danger. Claiming Sloane as his puts a target on her back. To protect her, Jude is willing to risk everything, and to hell with the consequences. So it's going to be interesting because it sounds like she is going to manage to get away from her family, and will she be pulled back in? Who knows? But the Sloane, one thing I've loved about the O'Malley family is just how much these siblings are there for each other. Like, the Bridgertons are there for each other throughout like the historical romance. The O'Malleys are like the darker mafia family where the siblings are all there for one another. So definitely going to be working on this one for that prompt. Next up is our poll pick. I did put this out there on the channel. For those of you guys who answered, thank you so much. And basically I had a few emojis out there, and I will go ahead and let you know kind of what they were. The first one I believe was I can't remember the order, but there was a drop of blood, and that was going to be a Soul of Ashen Blood in the Jennifer L. Armentrout, the Blood and Ash series. That was going to be the next book up to get that underway. There was a Gamer Control, and that was to start reading volume 3 of the Himota-chan manga series, which would have been probably the shortest pick on there. There was a Rose, and that was going to be for Black Rose, which was the second book in a duology. But you guys ended up picking The Crow, and for that, that is going to be The Crow Rider by Kaylin Josephine. I've had this for a little bit. This is the second and final book in the Storm Crow kind of series. Very interesting world where you have these kind of factions and families at war for power, and you have, it's been such a long time since I've read it, Thea, who comes from this world or this family that they're well known for their magical, gigantic crows, as you can see in the cover, where you can literally like ride it like a dragon. And she had been training to be a crow rider when one of the other families goes and attacks her land and her realm, destroying everything she knows. And she is given up as kind of a token of goodwill or peace to the rival family's son. And throughout that, you find out that the son is very dislike his mother, who is very kind of war hungry and power hungry. And she finds herself falling for the son, but at the same time, she has this kind of secret espionage mission because she finds a crow egg, and this could be the last crow. So it's kind of protecting the crow, getting the crow, escaping, while her sister, who is back home now, taking her spot as the queen, through her marriage that she has had to do, amassing support to go to war. So it's all been kind of like coming up to like a burbling, you know, it started as a simmer, it's now a boil, and everything is gonna, you know, come to a head in this one, and we will see how the story goes and where it goes and how it ends. But it was just very interesting because, like I said, you don't really see, I mean, you've seen dragons and, you know, unicorns and all other types of flying magical animals, but you very rarely see a flying, like a gigantic flying crow. I mean, I would have said you don't see much, but then I just read a story with a giant flying cat. So, you know, welcome to the world of fantasy. But this will be the final book for that one. So hopefully once this is done, another series over and done with, but also we'll get to see how it ends. And for our last prompt, which is kind of another one of our freebies, is to share your TBR with all of you, which is what I'm doing right now. I will also probably put something out there on Instagram, with some sort of icon, or use the bingo board that she's created and kind of fill it in and put that out there. So I will be sharing that one. So hey, I've already got one checked off. But other than that, we still are trying to finish the Every Romantasy challenge. That has been kind of going slow this month. A lot has been kind of unfolding family-wise. There's been a lot of things going on in our family, so we're just kind of taking it with a grain of salt and seeing how we can go. But yeah, there's still quite a bit to do, quite a lot to tackle between the Romantasy, between getting caught up with the Year in Aurelium for Magical Readathon before the summer classes start, and with some of our challenge accepted jars, our Cocky Hero Club. There is a lot to read. But this should still be fun, and hopefully this will kind of, like I said, the goal is to finish some series or get further along in some series, and that is what is going to happen. So I hope all of you guys are well. Let me know if you guys are doing this challenge as well, what books you guys are tackling in the comments below. And with that, stay nice and cool as we heat up and get into August, always the hottest month, and take care of yourselves, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.